What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millzy, back on the Hometown Commander, and we are back for another episode of Millzy Opens series where I open up sealed product. Our first sealed collector box for March of the Machine collector box was so good that I had to get another one. I had to spin the wheel again. I had to go for it. If you haven't seen that one, go back on the channel. Probably the most fun I've ever had opening up collector boosters in a long time. So I thought, why not spin the wheel again? Go for another box with some of the credit I had at one of our big box retailers and have some fun. 12 more boosters of March of the Machines collector box. I'm really enjoying this set so far. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the set so far. I'm having a great time with it, to be honest. I think that the set has a ton of value in it. There's so many cool new cards for Commander, so many things to use, and of course has been a cool source of brewing for me in a lot of ways. So I'm excited to get going. Got a Invasion of Mercadia, beautiful foil full art mountain. Drawn in Linvala, we got Zergo and Ojutai there, mythic, in that beautiful Tarkir frame. Love it, love it, love it. This is the kind of stuff I'm hoping to see. Zergo looks really fun. Hedron Detonator, card from the Commander decks. Kind of an interesting card, allowing you to play cards from the top of your library, sacrificing those artifacts to play cards off the top. Rada, Coalition Warlord, still kind of intrigued why they didn't pick literally any of the other Radas, but we got this one. CAE foil etched Emoti, Celebrate a Bounty. Pulled the Amonkhet frame in the last box. Was excited about that. We get a foil Kogla and Gadara. What a pretty art for this one with that Ikoria comic book frame. Our last card is Ayara, First of Lochthwain. The Throne of Eldraine frame. I have to say, I really like the Throne of Eldraine frame. On the creatures, of course, only ever been done before on the adventure cards. But I have to say, I really like it on the creatures. I think it looks really good, and I'm hoping they start doing some more. If you guys have yet to see, we've seen 3 new secret layers, where Wizards has been doing a few secret layers of taking these frames and putting them on cards. And of course, I have to pick up the one with the Questing Beast because, of course, love Questy B. A couple other really cool ones, foil planes there. We see a Rona, Herald of Invasion, kind of an interesting card. I know a lot of people have a lot of love or intrigue in the backside. Fairy Mastermind, getting a lot of love right now in extended art. Interdisciplinary Mascot. We see Ingo Rune Eyes. You know, at first I was kind of calling into question why we got some of these Call Time cards reprinted. I still do, but I have to say a lot of the new art is pretty. We get another Rada. A Deeproot Wayfinder, new Merfolk for all the Merfolk fans out there. That is a foil extended art. And then we see an Aurelia the War Leader again, another foil Aurelia the War Leader. We got one last time as well. I really like that. I really like that Ravnica frame. The more that I look at it, the more I like it, and the more it makes me want to see more commanders in these frames. Hopefully, we get to see some more soon. My secret deep down hope is that we see this Ravnica frame because we're eventually going to go back. I know a lot of people have a love and hate relationship with Ravnica, but I would like to see us go back eventually and get another crack at Ravnica. We have a foil Swamp. Complete the Circuit, a card that I'm really excited to try out. I've got this one slated to go in a couple decks. Casting the next spell you copy twice and you can convoke it out seems kind of cool. Ooh, we see a Polukranos Reborn. Flipping into the Polukranos Engine of Ruin. This card's pretty cool because it has that Pharaoh's frame. And of course, Polukranos is back. Then we see Dance with Calamity, a fun spell. I think it's going to end up... A lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with it. We see Jury, Master of Review. A foil-etched Tetsuko Mizawa. Ooh, foil. Kroxa and Kunaros. This is an interesting card. I'm intrigued to see what people do with it in Commander. I'm not 100% in on it, but I think it's definitely an interesting card for sure. And then our last card is a foil Taigim Ojutai Master in that beautiful the Tarkir frame. I have to say I really like the Tarkir frame as well. One of the new ones they made for this. I think it looks pretty darn cool, and we got to see a couple classic Tarkir commanders in that frame. Of course, would never have turned down seeing something like Narset in that frame, but of course, that wasn't going to take up one of their slots. We see a foil Island. We see Quintorius Lore Master, the regular one there. Ooh, there we go. Boral and Kari Zev getting a lot of love. Kind of an interesting card, whether it's the commander for your Is It Spellslinging deck or it just slots in the 99. Okay, we see one of our Precon commanders, Kazla the Broken Halo. This is an interesting card. This actually, if you have not seen it yet, this episode will be releasing this week. It'll be released by the time you see this video, my build for Kazla. So I'm kind of interested to put that out. We see Raph, Weatherlight Stalwart. We see a foil etched Daxos. A foil extended art Fairy Mastermind. It's a very heavy Fairy Mastermind box. And we see Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths, our Multiverse Legends foil. I have to say I don't have very much experience with Atris, but Atris seems like kind of an interesting card. It kind of gives you that Fact or Fiction effect. And then, of course, here in the colors where you can blink it, you can do a lot of things. So kind of interesting. I'm sure there's some broken deck that someone out there's like, this deck slaps, and I just don't know it, but that's okay. That's the fun of cards like this, is you get to see some cards maybe you've never seen before. We get a regular foil Aaron and Giada. Archpriest of Shadows, a card that I'm kind of excited to use a little bit. Got a lot of got a premiere spot in my Henzi list I made last week. Kind of excited to try this card out. There we go, Vidalian Wave Knight, one of the new knights from the Knights deck. Putting a counter on each Merfolk or Knight you control. Timurit, chosen from Death, and in the etch foil as well. We see a Liliana's Talent from the Commander set. I'm actually really excited for these talent cards. I'm intrigued to see what people use them for, if they get a lot of play or if they don't. I think a lot of them are really useful. I actually especially love Elspeth's Talent. And then we see Baral, Chief of Compliance foil in that pretty Inventions frame. Of course, Baral, classic commander in its own right, and of course, very well used in other formats as well. I like seeing the Invention frame come back. It looks pretty, it looks really good, and I'm happy to see it. All right. Get down in the pack, we got our foil Forest. Bloodfeather Phoenix, so standard rare. We see another Kogla Niudara, so we got a foil one already, now a non-foil. Ooh, Teferi's Talent, there we go. We just talked about the talents. This one has me very intrigued, giving you a -12 of being able to cast all your Planeswalker's abilities anytime you could cast an instant, which of course would turn them all into something like Teferi's Master Time, where you can use them every turn, and then drawing a card whenever you use the one it's attached to. Zadahedron Grinder. Shauna Sisei's Legacy. See a Grafted Butcher. This card has me kind of interested. Of course, it's seeing some play in Standard. I'm kind of interested to see if this can break into Commander at all, but Phyrexians get Menace until end of turn. And then you can sack a creature to bring it back. And there we go. What a card to pull. Atraxa Praetor's Voice foil. Man, I was hoping that this box would get us something good, and good did it. Atraxa Praetor's Voice. What a massive commander on its own right. You know, I've pretty much been trying to avoid building Atraxa for such a long time. You know, I did one on the channel a few weeks back. It was just a standard proliferate style deck. I've been wanting to mess around with Atraxa as far as maybe like a Planeswalkers deck, but there we go with the foil Multiverse Legends Mythic. Of course, this is probably second in price only to Ragavan out of this set. Inga Neska, a very interesting commander. I'm kind of intrigued to see what people do with this one. This one will be coming up on the channel in a few weeks. It's on my list to do. Hidetsuko and Kairi in that beautiful Kamigawa frame. This is one of my favorite frames, the glow frame they've done in a while, and I think this one looks really good in this sense. Not 100% sure on Hidetsuko and Kairi, and a lot of people are pretty high on it. I'm intrigued to see what people do with it. Guardian Scale Lord from the Commander decks. This one's kind of interesting. Whenever it comes in, you can give back up to another creature to get kind of a Sun Titan type effect, and then Guardian Scale Lord gets it as well every time it attacks. This card's pretty cool, and I think it'll end up helping out a lot of decks. We get Yargle in the Dominary frame there. Rayav Master Smith, foil etched. We see the new Ayara, Widow of the Realm. This is actually the first one I've seen of this one. I've only seen the reprint of the Multiverse Legends one. And we get Ayara, Furnace Queen at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to one target artifact creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gets haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. I've actually seen people combo this with Combat Celebrant. If you can get it to die somehow or get it to the graveyard with a sacrifice effect, you can actually go infinite on combats, which is kind of interesting, but kind of a cool card. And then our last one, is a card that I was excited to see get reprinted because it's a pretty fun card, especially with this border, is Captain Landry Storm. And that beautiful. I love the coin showcase frame. And of course, Landry Storm, fairly popular in Commander. It makes treasures, and you can stack treasures to give it a bonus each end of turn, which gives you some of those artifact sacrificing effects. So love seeing Landry Storm get a new printing there. We get a Mountain, Glistening Dawn, a spell that seems kind of interesting. You know, I was actually messing around with a deck personally the other day, brewing, and saw this and included it on there already. And I was like, sure, it was a deck where you're trying to have a ton of lands, but I wasn't quite sure if that meant we're playing. And there we go. See the board, the extended art, complete the circuit. Excited about this one. We see Quintorius there, but I'm excited to see what we can do with this spell. It seems really interesting. Wildfire Awakener, when it enters the battlefield, make X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with whenever this creature becomes tapped, it deals 1 damage to target player. This seems kind of interesting in a Convoke deck. This could definitely be a win con, depending on what you have access to. Dump all your creatures into this. It's a big finisher, and all those 1/1s are going to attack and deal their damage, whether they hit through or not. You know, a lot of these Jeskai decks, or these decks like this, are going to pair this with Perforos, right, or Impact Tremors, so they're still going to get damaged that way. And of course, we just saw City on Fire in the new set for all these Convoke decks. So I like this. This is a cool card from the Commander set. We see Master Smith in the foil there. Renata Call, or a Call to the Hunt in the foil etched. Infernal Sovereign. Skip your draw step. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, you draw a card and lose a life. Interesting. I don't think it's the best demon in the world, but kind of an interesting card there. 6/6. And then we get a Lurrus of the Dream Dead in that pretty Ikoria art. Of course, comes a little bit late. Lurrus, of course, has been banned in multiple formats now. Of course, saw lots of play in Modern and Pioneer, but it is banned now. I like Lurrus. It's an interesting card, and I think it deserves its right to get played. I haven't seen it too much in Commander, but that doesn't mean there isn't a spot for it. Foil Forest. Garden of Girapur, another new angel. Whenever it enters the battlefield, it gets a blink a creature or artifact you control. Kind of interesting, and probably not too bad in a white deck where you already want to do that anyway. The Alish Norn from Phyrexian LB1 probably really likes a card like this. Tribute to the World Tree, extended art. Love this card. This card's going in a couple decks, including one of my new token decks I've been messing around with. Being able to have anything coming in with less than 3 power, getting +1/+1 counters on it is great. And if not, this is just a strict upgrade to a card like Elemental Bond. The only bad part is 3 green pips instead of 1. But I think in a 2-color green, tokens deck, it's probably a strict upgrade for how much benefits you get. Here we see Rowan's Talent. This one's one of the talents I'm kind of intrigued to try out. It says +1 up to 1 target creature gets first strike and trample to a turn. This is the same similar effect to like the Royal Scions had in Eldraine. But then it says whenever you activate the loyalty ability of Enchanted Planeswalker, copy that ability and may choose new targets for the copy. That could get pretty good depending on what you put this on and what you put it with. So I'm really messing around with the idea of this Jeskai Planeswalkers type deck. Of course, we've seen that we're getting a precon for it for Commander Masters, so I'm very interested to see what that looks like. But for now, I'm kind of tinkering with it. We see Agar the Freezing Flame on the Colham border. Yargle, foil etched. We get Nahiri's Warcrafting, getting lots of play in Standard at the moment. Kind of intrigued. Cool card. I know that Nahiri had a spell in Zendikar Rising that never really went anywhere, so it's cool to see her get another spell like this that's actually doing something. And then our last courtesy, foil etched to Traxxas Praetor Voice. So not only did we get the showcase frame, we got a foil etched from as well with that original art. Again, I really like that on all of these Multiverse Legends cards, the foil etched have their original art. I think that's pretty cool. And we see another Atraxa Praetor's Voice. So not only just one Atraxa, but 2 in the same box. Not too bad. Not as flashy as maybe the box we had last time, but I think still good nonetheless. I'm very interested. Like I said, I enjoy opening product, and I've enjoyed March of the Machines so far. Into the Fire. New spell for Standard. And there we go, our 10th sword, Sword of Once and Future. Protection from blue and from black. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, Surveil 2. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. That spell will be put in your graveyard, exile instead. Kind of an interesting card. You can see the blue and the black in it. I don't know how much play it'll see, but I'm very excited to finally see the last sword get revealed here finally. Then we have Conclave Sledge Captain. This card's pretty cool. Love seeing the elephants come back. Love seeing the Loxodons come back. Here we have 3 backup triggers whenever this whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put that many counters on it. This is going to go really well in that backup styles deck or some already existent +1/+1 counters deck. I did a video for Schley and Halar on the channel. If you guys want to check that out, that's the deck where this is going for me, and I'm pretty excited to try it out. I don't think we've seen any Halo foils yet, but we see Dina Soul Steeper, and I spoke too soon. There we go. Jury Master of the Review, a Halo foil. Kind of an interesting card. I've never really used Jury, but a lot of people really like Jury, and it's kind of a very interesting design space. We have a foil Ozolith, the Shattered Spire. This is my first time seeing this card in person. We get a kind of mini hardened skills here, and then the ability to put one on a creature you control. So kind of a cool idea here. It is an artifact, which might help some other decks some more, but I don't know. I kind of like it. I think it's an interesting space. I like the idea of kind of upgrading something like hardened scales and putting something extra on it. And of course, a reference to the Ozolith, probably one of the single best artifacts for +1/+1 counters deck. And then our last card is, the foil etched version of Atris that we saw before. Lots of incubator tokens. I think we got 4 this box. Kind of interesting, but all right, 2 packs to go. Of course, in a lot of ways, this box was not as star-studded as our first box was. It's very hard to be star-studded when you get a massive pull, but still excited to open this nonetheless. We see Elspeth's Talent, the card I talked about earlier. Probably one of my favorites, like I said, of the Talent cards. +1, create 3 tokens, which is great for 4 mana or on the Planeswalker Sword and go on. But the bottom ability, I think, is where it's going to shine. Whenever you activate a loyalty ability of the enchanted Planeswalkers, creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance on a turn. I think in decks that are playing the Planeswalkers and the tokens, like you're already trying to do, I think that both these abilities are great, and they're going to work in tandem together. Sea Double, a card that I'm also very excited to try in Commander. Letting you either copy a target spell or make a token that's copy of target creature. Of course, going to be very useful for spell slinging decks because so many of the good creatures you want that generate value aren't necessarily legendary. So Sea Double definitely goes far on that. Schema Thief, very popular card from the Commander decks. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's copy of target artifact that player controls. Anything you want that they have. Of course, legendary rules still won't apply on your side of the battlefield, but if your opponent has a really good artifact, you can copy it for free. So I definitely can see why Schema Thief is becoming popular. Finn, probably example of my favorite new art for the Kaldheim Legends that got a reprint. You can see a reprint here in that Kaldheim frame. We see Quendi, Price of Femaref in the beautiful hollow foil there. All right, Locust, Omnath Locust of all in the Zendikar Rising frame, pretty foil. I have to say, I was a little underwhelmed by Omnath. You always let me know what you think down in the comments. I really think I prefer 4-color Omnath more than this one, but I can definitely see where this one's trying to go. Going to definitely be good for a lot of these 5-color gold card matter types decks. I think could be an interesting commander for that. And we see an Arachnoseas, the Slumbering Isle foil. Love this card, one of my favorites in Commander for some of those Simic big value decks. And we see it here in the beautiful Constellation frame foil. All right, well, let's hope for some last pack magic. Last pack, I think I can't complain though. 2 Atraxas, not bad pulls at all by any means. See a foil Invasion Arcavios. This is a card I'm kind of intrigued to see how well it plays. On the front side, you get to search for a spell and put it into your hand. And then on the back side, it copies the first instant or sorcery you cast from your hand. Or every time you cast from your hand. So kind of interested to see how this one works. Does it go well or does it not? But excited to see if something like that works out really well. I'd be intrigued to play this in a Convoke deck or a Jeskai, tokens deck to see how that really truly plays. Ancient Arperiosaur, extended art rare. Love this card going right into Goreclaw. Sirac Claw, the new deck, but I think this is a really fun dino, and I'm intrigued to see what we get to see in Ixalan later this year for new dinos. Deluxe Dragster from the Commander set. New vehicle. Can be blocked except by vehicles. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell we put to a graveyard, exile it instead. Man, that's pretty good. And if your opponents aren't playing vehicles, that means it's going to get hit in for free. And depending on who you're playing against, this could cast some pretty cool things. Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. Jury in the foil etch. Host. Seed Shark, a fun card I'm excited to mess around with. think this card's perfect for some of these Convoke decks, or a deck like Galazeth Prismari, something where you're already trying to use these artifacts for value, you know, Blue Urza, things like that. Of course, then, if the more mana you have, you turn them into creatures and swing with them. I'm excited to see what Chrome Host Seed Shark does. And our last card, another Baral Chief of Compliance. Well, what do you guys think of this box opening? Again, I think it was better in some ways and worse in some ways. Of course, no serialized card this time around, but 2 Atraxas. We will take it. What was your guys' favorite pull from the box? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys next time.